We're on the air.
I got to get in to get my eyes checked. I can see better without my glasses than with. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'm thinking that most everybody that couldn't get in checked email and checked Facebook and all that to see that we had a different link. I heard a beep. Hey, hi Mike.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Just wonderful.
Yeah, you look very comfy over there. We should join you at your place.
That's cool.
That would be
We
cool.
could set this up on a 12-foot screen out in my backyard.
Oh, that would be awesome. You know, the Coin Club has been having meetings. Most of those guys don't know what internet is, let alone have a computer. So we've had some meetings outside in the parking lot, and we did our social distancing thing, and we've had 15 or 20 people there, and it was pretty fun. So maybe at some point we can get together someplace. Maybe we can meet someplace over at Ambrose outside, uh, find a
Or
place.
one of the park pavilions.
What's that?
Maybe a park pavilion.
We could do that too. I think that'd be kind of fun. We'll have a board meeting and talk about it because it kind of be fun. And if it got dark soon enough, who knows? Maybe we could even set up a scope and talk about whatever object and having Rusty be the professional and Terry that they are with the EAA, maybe they can shoot it up on the screen so we can all talk about it. But anyway, I digress. Does anybody have a problem with me going ahead and starting the meeting? Okay, good. I'm going to alt tab over to my little notes here. Um, so last Saturday we did have a meteor shower, virtual meteor shower party, and we got out to Mankey, and there was a little bit of wind damage to roofs on the roll off, and I think also to the classroom, but no damage to anything inside. Um, I pulled the top off of the cover off of the 14-inch scope, and maybe Ellen, Rusty, and Terry can take note of this. But we've got a nice cover on there, and the cover is deteriorating and ripped. But what I found was mice started carrying all kinds of shredded paper and stuff, started building a nest on top since the last time we were out there. And that was only the last, maybe a week or two ago we were out there. So I cleaned that up. We've got a mess on the floor, but I got the scope and the mount cleaned off. And so, we'll have to be a little bit more careful. I don't think the lining or the plastic in there was lining. I don't know where they got the plastic from to build up in there, but there was a lot of it. So we'll need to order a new cover for that. But anyway,
If you
that was the first. What was that?
if you want some shall we say mouse biscuits that will put the end to your problem, let me know. I've got quite a few of them.
Okay, maybe we would take. Is it little things we can drop in down inside the concrete block wall into the openings?
Um, they're uh, they're maybe bigger than that. I had to buy this heavy duty stuff to get rid of some mice in my house, and I had to buy a case of it, and it is very effective.
Okay, maybe if we had about the size of a golf ball, like
Yes,
3 or 4 of
we'll
those,
go.
yeah,
Yep,
that would be perfect. We could drop that down in the wall, then it'd be safe. Nobody would bring a pet in there or kids to grab it. We could drop it inside the wall, and I'm sure the mice would find it down there. But
yep.
yeah, and so anyway, yeah, so that got cleaned up, and we got set up and all that kind of good stuff, and found out that we could connect up to the modem there wirelessly, but there was no internet. So they must have. I don't know what kind of issue there would be for that to happen. Do you think that maybe the antenna got blown and it needs to be realigned? That's the only thing I could think of because it's, we've got a dish that aims at the satellite. So,
Honestly, once I saw that the satellite dish was still on the roof, I didn't think much of it after seeing the how much damage the roofs themselves had suffered. But I sent an email earlier today to HughesNet telling them that we might have lost our internet connection out there, and hopefully they'll email me back by tomorrow so we can set up something.
Okay, and Sam rebooted the modem if they happen to ask. So we did our due diligence on our side. Um, but anyway, that being said, Ken was out there and was doing some AP, and Sam and Rolando were out there. Rolando had it set up, and they were doing some AP as well. And Dana met some guy by the name of John Ward, and he lives in Dixon, Illinois. And he was interested in getting into the hobby, knew at it, didn't know a whole lot about it, but wanted to learn about it and see if it was something that he'd want to get into. So he actually came out. So he hung out with Rolando and with Sam for a bit, and then he came into the dome. We talked, and I had the ZWO 120 on there, and it didn't do real well for live view. We decided since we couldn't broadcast, not to worry about using it as an all sky, but we did a little bit of planetary stuff so he could see what that looked like, and talked a lot about different kinds of telescope and what gear. He's leaning toward an 8-inch Dob. Um, and he's bouncing between wanting to do visual and imaging, so it'll be back and forth that way. So we explained the problems with learning on a Q mount, and learning on a Dob and all that. But anyway, real nice guy. He and I stayed out there till a little after 1, and then I didn't get out of there till after 2 because I was having some trouble packing up stuff and trying to cover the scope with that cover was a little bit of a hassle with it being ripped like that. And so anyway, it was a good night. It was a fun night. When I was packing up, I just kind of stood outside for a while, and I did see 3 or 4 meteors shoot by. So that was pretty cool that I actually got to see some. On the Facebook page, somebody else wrote on our page saying that they saw quite a few of them that night. So um, unfortunately, with COVID, this could have been a really good meteor shower party for us over at Cedar Valley Junior High had we not had to worry about social distancing there. So, does anybody else have stuff they want to talk about on the meteor shower while we're on that topic? Anybody see anything or get any shots of anything or video of it?
I saw a few.
Who's that again?
You not see me, hear me?
I can hear you. But who is it? I'm not seeing who's talking.
Oh,
Oh, Paul. Okay. Yeah. Did you go any place to see him, or were you at home?
no. I think I sent an email. I went to the cemetery right near me and at like 4:30 a.m. and looked up and saw a few. That was about it.
That's pretty scary going to a cemetery 4:30 in the morning.
You saw there were meteorites?
But it is dark. It's dark and they're quiet there, so it's good.
Well, maybe that'd be a good place to hold a meeting. You got plenty of places to sit. So, but okay, that's pretty cool. Let me see what else I got on my list. Then we'll move on. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this light pollution project that I just started working on. Let me see if I can figure out how to share. And tell me when you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now let me see if I can get the right thing called up. Okay, can you see my little map there?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, back in 2014, a guy by the name of, I think it was Ron or Roy DeWitt, came in to talk to our club. I think it was like, mid 2014. And there was some type of a program that the city of Davenport was applying for. And the deal with this program was it was to entice new business to come into the area. And they had all kinds of things on their checkoff list that they had to try to, give an idea of how good they were doing, like how many parks and how many schools and what the traffic patterns were, just all kinds of stuff. One of them was light pollution, and you had to score a certain amount of points in each category. and they came to us and talked to us about doing some type of light pollution study. So a couple of us got together and bought SQML meters, which measure how dark areas are. And they gave us a map of the wards, which let me see if I can click over to that. And that's what they gave us and said that's the territory that they're kind of interested in getting measurements on. So I divided this thing up and I figured, well, if we got a few locations in each of the 5 wards or 8 wards or whatever it is, that would be a good indication of how they were doing. So I got a Google map and then I placed these little markers on all these locations. So I think it was mainly Matt and I went to all these places and did sky measurements. In December, the temperature was like 7 below zero. I don't know if I got that in here, but it was like really, really cold. And it was very snowy, so we had some reflection off the ice or off the snow. But at any rate, it gave us a pretty good idea. And we did send them information on that. The light pollution was pretty bad, as you can imagine. In some of the areas like over in here, F and T and O, it wasn't horrible. But as you can imagine, in town, I mean, it was just not good at all. So at Mid-American Energy, this a couple weeks ago, they're putting together what they call a green team. And it's basically a handful of employees in each territory that are interested in doing some ecology type of work or that type of thing. And I brought up another light study program. There's a couple people interested in this. Did someone say something? Okay. So anyway, a couple people were interested in it, but I thought, well, I'm going to go with it anyway. When we did this in 2014, we got quite a sizable chunk through Mid-American Energy for the work that we did when we presented this to the city of Davenport. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and do it again now that it's, 6 years later. Let's see what the result was. And I took advantage of there being a power outage. And I think at the time I did these measurements, there was still 20 to 25,000 people out in Davenport. So it wasn't a great one, but earlier in the week, when we were in the midst of the outage, we still had too many clouds to do this. So I picked a very good night. It was like 0 cloud cover. So I did it at a good time. And I measured all these places. I started about 9 p.m. and I got done about 1 a.m. I'm going to kind of get out of this map and let me go to another one because it was kind of interesting. So what this is Jim covering that? Let me see if I can move him up. So on this chart right here, these are the areas that I measured. So this is Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is the 2014 data is in blue and the 2020 data is in red. And I kind of compared each area, what happened back in December of 2014 to what happened in August 2020. And again, this is when we had an outage. And this is the SQML reading right here, this top chart. Can you guys see that okay, or is it like really, really dinky?
Kind of small.
Yeah, any chance you can make it bigger?
Yeah. So you can see that the SQL meter, the higher the number, the darker it is, and the same way with NELM data. So this is the same data plotted at different scales. So this is the SQML meter that I use. And let me see here. Have any of you seen a meter like that before? Let me see if I can unshare real quick. Oh, there, am I unsharing again?
Yes.
So this is that meter. So it's not a rocket scientist kind of thing. That's just a decal down here, so it's nothing fancy. It has a push button right here, and then a display, and it's just a simple, you aim it up in the sky, and you press the button, and you press the button, and it gives you a reading. So the SQML in here is 10.15, which is like not very good at all, of course. Now I'm going to flip off the light, and I can show you a little bit different there. Okay, the same thing. I'm gonna with the living room light off. 14.48. So that's the difference between with my light on and light off is about 4.x. So this meter wasn't very expensive. I think when I bought it in 2014, it was like 40 bucks or something like that. So they're not mega bucks, but they're kind of cool to have if you go to locations, like if you go out to Green River or something like that, and you just want to get an idea for your records about how dark it is. So, you know, a year later, if you want to, you know, maybe visit that place, you can go back and look at your notes and see how dark it really was. So with that, let me put that guy away. And I'll go back to sharing. So anyway, this top one shows that basically during the outage, even though 6 years later, it's much darker during the outage, except for this location. And this location was what they called Research Parkway. And that's like off of, what would that be? North of 53rd Street and east of Brady Street. It's that new strip that kind of goes by the casino. There's an industrial park there. And I did some checking at Mid-American Energy and found out one of the reasons why it's so much brighter now. Remember, the lower the plot, the brighter it is. They've added a lot of lighting out there and new built structures. So that shows you what the damage was done because of all that work. Now there's a simple mathematical equation to turn this into NELM, and it's like it's just more of a visual chart. And what makes more sense to us astronomers is Bortle. And Bortle is not very accurate because that's only a scale from 0 to 10. Mankey is, I don't remember what Bortle Mankey is, but let's go back here. I measured SQLM last, when we were there Saturday, it was 21.05. So it was like, you know, really dark. So that was very cool to see that we're way up here with how dark Mankey is. So again, this is the opposite direction on the Bortle. The smaller the number, the darker the location. And you can see here, this is that industrial park again. And even though we had 25,000 people out, this is like right in Davenport. So, you know, it should have been darker, but because they added the lights. So anyway, this is the kind of research that I put together. And what my goal is, let me get this back down to normal. What my goal is to put this stuff together and try to present it again to the city of Davenport to show them what they can do if they want to do it, working with streetlights. I'm hoping to get a few people from our club involved in this, and maybe we can do things like go out to the truck stop. Maybe we can go out to some other factories and find people that might be wanting to upgrade or change their light. Partnering with Mid-American Energy like I am, I'm hoping to find out some costs involved, like to show that, you know, the lighting isn't more expensive, or if it is, by how much, what energy savings there is, and all that kind of good stuff, plus impact to the environment. So I'm hoping that with this data, it will help. Now, the next thing I want to do on this, though, and I kind of digressed again, is here in September sometime, I want to go out and measure all these locations again, all 20 of them, because then I can have a third plot on here showing what it is with no outages. So I expect that it'll be worse than this now, but I want to see if it's so much worse that it was worse than 2014. So I thought that would be really good data. What the city actually did over 6 years, because I do know that Davenport was doing some light control after we did our study. They were putting in LED lighting and doing some other things. So we can make that comparison for them, and hopefully we can sway some people. But again, the good news is I think back in 2014 through Mid-American Energy, when I turned in the number of hours worked on this, I think we got over $1,000 donated to the club. So it's a good project to do. Yeah, it's a good project to do for astronomers so that we can get some dark skies back. And it's also a good project for QCAS so that we can get more money for our observatory relocation. So,
You know, unfortunately, those that they may be saving energy by putting in the LEDs, but it's not getting any darker. They replaced, I'm in Moline, and they replaced our neighborhood with LEDs. And I've still got street light on my corner that is shining halfway up my house. And so it's costing less, but they also are way overlit.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit to do with some of this directional lighting, and I forget what they call them, but there's a technical term for the shields they can put over those to direct the lighting down. And even though it's brighter, that would still help us a little bit. But I think that when the city was getting involved, they weren't really sure what the LED lighting was going to be because, you know, a 100-watt light bulb with the incandescent light is a lot different than a 5 or 10-watt LED. And, you know, to people that are new to it, man, I've got 100 watts there now. I should probably at least get 100 watts in the new one. And a 100 watt LED is like a floodlight you could see, you know, probably from the moon. I don't know. But
It's fun. It's funny. I had a big maple. I had several trees come down. We've been cutting wood for a week, and one took out a street light, and they came to hook the light back up the other day. And I said, "Hey, while you're up there, could you kind of tilt that light away from my house?" And it was one of the subcontractors from Missouri. And he said, "What?" I said, "Can you make that turn towards the intersection instead of towards my house?" He looked at me and he lifted his bucket a little bit and whack, whack, whack on the light. He turned slightly away from my house. He said, "Don't know how if it'll be any good, but we'll see if that works."
That's an official tool that a utility company uses, is the bucket on their truck. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So, but anyway, if any of you want to get involved in this project, I don't think that there's a whole lot of work other than maybe if you know somebody at large companies that, you know, can stand to even listen to us for 10 or 15 minutes. No expectations, of course, but the more time I put into this project, the more money they pay us. So I truly expect with what my plan is I'll probably have 100 hours in it. And, you know, I live, it used to be called Elko, and I forget, I never can say, is it Arconic or something? Is out by me.
Part of
So,
it is Arconic.
yeah. So they're close to me, so I think I can get in there through the city of Riverdale. And I'm also on the Riverdale Planning and Zoning, so I know I can get into the city of Riverdale to talk to him. That DeWitt guy, Roy DeWitt or Ron DeWitt, is no longer in that position, but he still has contact with the city of Davenport. And I thought I'd give him a jingle and meet with the city of Davenport. So we got three good things I can hit up. But if any of the rest of you've got anybody, I also contacted that place that Matt did to get all that light pollution information that we were handing out. And they're going to send me that information again, updated information, and I'll be passing that out to the Mid-American group to see if I can entice them to get more involved. So anybody have any comments or anything they want to add on the light pollution thing? No?
Well, Jeff, you said that across that 6-day or 6-year period, they were both outages. Were they similar levels of intensity? So it was a good comparison?
Yeah, actually, the one in 2014, there was no outage. But it was a bad, yeah, it was a bad, let me see, I've got that chart here. Let me see if
Well,
I
if
can
that's the
get
case, you would expect it to be darker during an outage.
Well, yeah, but it was only 25,000 people. And since 6 years later, I expected the area to have grown and be more populated.
Okay.
Still, you want to try it again with no outages.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
exactly.
sense.
So that way we've got three different measurements. Is this an opening or not?
What opening?
Well, I've got another spreadsheet I was going to open.
It-
That one right there. Okay. Yeah, so you can see that it was like -7, -9, -11, -13, -14 when we went out and did this. It was just cold. The sky was clear, which was a good thing. We don't have any data on what the moon was on that, but
Well, we could look up if you talk about the phases of the moon, you just look that up.
Yeah, I've got here 41% moonlight. And this is the temperatures that we took when we were out there. So at 2 o'clock in the morning it was -10.
Mhm.
And these are the exact same locations that we're at before. So quite a bit difference. But it was still kind of a cool thing to do. Okay, let me get rid of that. And go back to my little notes. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about on the light pollution thing?
Does anybody have ties with John Deere?
Well, we can hit them up anyway. I'm not opposed to hitting up people and to see if they want to hear about it. Even if I just draft a letter and send it to people out to various people, drafting a letter and mailing it takes some time. And it'd be nice if we could actually accomplish something. But even if we don't, the more time spent and spent productively, the more money we can get donated.
I think one of the best ways of looking for people that would be worthwhile contacting, if one of the goals is to convince them that they could probably save money by switching lights, just drive around. You can tell real quickly who's already installed LED lights that are directed down versus the old lights. I think most of the Deere facilities already have put LEDs in their parking lots. You can tell and drive by anyone, they don't have the light going up like other parking lots do.
That's good.
That's a great idea. As a matter of fact, finding some of those places and seeing if we can talk to somebody for 5 and 10 minutes and get their feedback on how well it worked for them and what they're seeing as costs, how cost effective it was and stuff. So that might be a great idea just to get more information to add to take to people that haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I know the fairly new green Hyundai over in Moline has got good lights in it, and you know this also. If you get a day that's just got a little bit of a haze at night, it really jumps out at you because a bad light looks like a ball sitting there, and a good light doesn't.
Huh, that's interesting. I'll have to do that. The green in is that Moline or is that East Moline?
Yeah, the green and Hyundai and Moline over by Menards.
Okay, I know where that's
Was when I was a little heavier into this, I was watching lights. As a matter of fact, all along the I-74 corridor where the new bridge is going in, Bettendorf did a phenomenal job, and you could see where they had put in the new good sky-friendly lights compared to the old lights. It was so obvious as you drove past them.
Well, that'll be great. There's another reference then. So it'd be cool if we could do something. One of my main things would be seeing if we can do something about the I-80 truck stop.
One of the cool things with the I-80 truck stop is that's energy use, but I'd be interested in seeing how it affects the sky glow up at Mankey.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool to do a little go over there and measure, and go halfway to Mankey and then go out to Mankey and show the progression. So that would be cool.
Does the truck stop affect the light level at the Wilton Observatory?
You can see it, yeah. But I think there's more of an impact at Mankey, but I think it's more of an impact at Mankey because the rest of the area is darker. But yeah, you can see the glow over there at Wilton.
Well, just, it might be another selling point where it'd be good to reduce the light, not only for Menkes Observatory, but also here's Wilton is investing money, dollars, as well as education to their children, and it would help them with their goals to have a little darker sight.
Yeah, that's a great idea too. I should have thought of that. I can talk to Grant about that. Grant Harkness is the one that put that project together out there. And we went out there a number of times and I helped them align the scope and get the gear set up and the computer programming, talking remotely and all that. So I'm sure you'd be interested in it. So that's a good idea too. Cool. Anything else on the light pollution program?
How much
Okay.
does an SQML meter cost?
I think that when I bought it, it was like around $40. So they're not expensive. Let me get mine out again, and I'm going to turn on the light so I can tell you what the brand is.
It's interesting to see if that's the same one I was just looking at when they're about 100. I don't recall if they're 125 or 150 now, which I thought was no big deal.
Yeah, the company is called Unihedron, Unihedron, and it's www.unihedron.com, just like it sounds. I could probably try to get to their site and take a peek real quick. It's not a big site at all. It's like one page. Am I still sharing?
Yes.
So this is the one I've got right here.
Yeah, that's actually the one I went to the site. I think they're 120 or 150 now.
Yeah, $134.99 plus shipping and handling. So they went way up since I bought it in the last 6 years. That's more than double. Because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have spent $100 back then. But it's very nice to have. So if anybody wants to borrow one, you can borrow mine. And I'm sure Matt has one, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind loaning it out either, or even stopping out and doing it. Move Jim's picture over a little bit.
Measures brightness of the night sky in magnitudes per square arc second.
And if you want that calculation, I don't remember where I got it. There's a calculation to turn that SQML into NELM and then a conversion over to Bortle. So, but the cool thing about it, SQML is that, it is a very wide range of measurements. So it's pretty accurate and pretty fine tuned. You can tell pretty succinctly how different locations are. So, but like I said, when I was out there and I do 3 readings and I take an average of the high and low, and Menke was 21.07. And my house here was like 18.8 or something like that. Okay, let me get rid of this. Okay, any other stuff on the light pollution? Okay, we'll move along a little bit. Observatory relocation project. We'll talk a little bit about that. For those of you that might not know what it is, we'll talk a little bit about that, and then I might turn it over to Robert so you can collect your thoughts while I talk, and you can let us know what Ambrose had to say today during that meeting. So for those of you that don't know what the project is, this is the Menke Observatory classroom right here. And this is the dome and the sidewalk going out to the roll-off building. And thank you, Rusty Case. These are your pictures that we kind of glued together to get what we wanted, so you can kind of see it's off a little bit. But it did the job for us. And this is that bird stand, that wood deck that they put out. And an original right here. This is one of the pads. This is a pad, and this is a pad. This is a picnic table, and this is some little plastic building they had. What the goal is in this project is to relocate from Sherman Park over to Menke Observatory. And we've already talked to Scott County Parks and Rec. We talked to the Wapsie River folks. Well, we've been working with St. Ambrose, and everybody's really, really, really wildly in favor of this happening. The way it would work after we moved over, the agreement would be is that we'd turn over these buildings, not the equipment, but we'd turn those over to St. Ambrose, And in turn that we would get lifetime exclusive use of those. And the reason we would do that is because insurance, liability insurance, especially for injury, is super, super high. So St. Ambrose can really cover that really easily. What they don't have, well, and the other good thing for us is they will maintain all of the facilities. So we don't have to do roofing, we don't have to do painting. If there's stuff like that happens, they would take care of that. In return, the QCAS would be in charge of like maintaining their gear, helping with if we get, a new a dome, or if we want to power it up, helping that get set up, training people on stuff, making sure the optics are working and cleaned, all the astronomy related stuff. So it pulls us away from doing things we don't want to do, like shingling and painting, like we need to do out at Sherman Park if we kept that facility. So I didn't bring the floor plan up, but what we have going on is these areas right here are double pads. And we set them in a manner that for Eastern Iowa Star Party, when we rented out locations, 2 people could set up on a pad. So they would share locations. So we could still get 50 people out here, but we'd have a lot more concrete for them to set up on. And we'd have electricity run to all these pads as well. So it'd be quite a bit like the pads now that have got electricity, but there'd be one in the center that have got 4 outlets each one. So we'd be running all this electrical. Also doing that, we need to increase the amount of electricity available, because that is a challenge during Eastern Iowa Star Party, having enough power to run everybody. Fortunately, we haven't blown any breakers or anything, but I'm thinking that, as we grow, that could easily happen. So anyway, that's what these little ones are pads that we want to put in. The next one is this facility right here. This is a square building, and we were going rectangle, then we thought about going squares because it'd be easier to support the dome. We would move our current dome from Jens Wendt over here and put it on a square building. And for now, we would keep that empty, so if club members wanted to use it, or if we wanted to do anything else, rent it out, or put a visual only scope in there, whatever we wanted to do, we could do that. So that is on this end of the property. The ranger's house is on this end. On the opposite end, this is a large roll-off building. And the goal in this large roll-off building is be able to house our 20-inch scope in the center and 2 other large scopes, one maybe being like a 170 millimeter astrophysics scope on a 10 micron mount was what we decided for equipment. And then another scope on this side, maybe even the 16 if we decide to keep it. So we'd have 3 main scopes, but in the rest of the facility, there'd be a room for 4 tripod mounted scopes. So if we had some large project that we had a whole bunch of people that needed to set up and do something inside, we could go ahead and have, what would that be, 7 telescopes going in here. So this building, I think we had somewhere like 24 or 26 by 32, which our current building is like 20 by 20. So this is substantially larger. The roof would roll off into the grassed area. The grassed area used to be here, but we had the Wapsie folks donate another 1 acre of ground to Mankey to make this happen. So now we're not really chopping off anything, but they said we could roll over the grassed area because we're not going to build any structure. There'd just be a post on each end. So we're saving some space there. And this is a control room. So the thought was we'd like to keep, it'd be nice to have a climate controlled room a little bit, a place where we'd put our computers and we could control the gear from inside, have a window here so that we could watch the gear that's set up anywhere over in here. So you could actually control your gear from inside. So that's the full-blown project. As far as the facility goes, we did also have planned, as I mentioned, Jim, what size is that AP scope?
Yeah, it's 175 millimeter diameter lens.
And was that an F7.5?
F8.
Yeah,
Well,
F8.
it's F8, and then there is also a reducer corrector that will, bring it down to F6 for photographic use.
Okay. And then Jim was on that group that talked about the equipment in there, and along with computers and software to automate the roof and the scopes and all that. The plan was for a 10 micron mount that's a step up from mine. That was the initial thought. And then put the 20-inch in the center with its current fork mount, EQ mount in, and then whatever we wanted to do in the future, we could do that on this side. So I don't know the order. The 20-inch would go in the center, and I don't know which side would be which for the gear, but it'd be computer control for all this area. We would be boosting the network so that we could get internet access from the classroom. We'd put in, I forget what they call these little repeaters or whatever. So we'd have internet access here and also here. So that means everybody would have internet access. And we would put some controls on there because we wouldn't want like video streaming and all that kind of stuff going on. We'd probably lock it down for like email use only out on the field and maybe even in the dome. But in this building, it'd have full control if we needed to get to the internet to do stuff. So again, this is kind of the full project. So we started this, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, discussing this and getting everything put together. At that point of time, I had somebody that was going to basically donate enough money to get about the whole thing done. In the meantime, after we got all our hopes up, the guy passed away and left no record of him wanting to do that. And he was really young, a veterinarian in Bettendorf. And so it was kind of unexpected. So we kind of lost out on that. So we decided, of course, we want to plug ahead with this. And we made plans for David Levy to come in to do the star party. And the hopes was we could get all the diagrams, the sketches, the costs involved in a promo pack put together so that when David Levy came into town, we could make a big publicity push and use him and try to get some newspaper coverage and some television and radio coverage about him being here and, blessing our new project and giving his little spiel. But of course, we didn't get all our stuff done, so we kind of lost that opportunity. But of course, we wanted to go ahead and persist because, again, I think at that point in time, getting money would have been relatively easy. The big push for STEM and getting more kids and especially girls involved in sciences. We were going to use that to our benefit. Plus, I've got a number of contacts in the construction business. I thought I could probably get one of them to donate all the concrete and excavating. And I thought the other construction firm, when they knew that the one company was donating this, they wouldn't need to do it, but they'd want to compete. So maybe they would donate a chunk of money. So that's all good. And we just kept going and writing up paperwork and everything. And then COVID hit. And now COVID is a huge problem. One, of course, what the economy has done during then. Companies going out of business, not making money. So trying to get money from people is a little bit tight. But what is even maybe a worse impact is one of the main reasons for doing this facility as it is public outreach, having a place where we could have our events and go inside rather than cancel events, have something climate controlled. We could always put on a program. We'd have connection to the outside world to do things, tie in with Wilton to do projects. So losing our public outreach is a huge loss to one of the main benefits to having this project. So when you go talk to a company, it's harder to say, yeah, we want to do this, and yeah, there's a dozen people in our club, versus, yeah, we our last meteor shower party, we had 400 people there, and this will allow us to do more stuff like that. So it's going to be a kind of a tough call. So does anybody want to talk about the project in general, very high level? Because I want to really get to, and I haven't heard yet, so I might not want to hear, but Robert met with St. Ambrose to give a kind of a State of the Union address on the project. But does anybody have any general questions about what we had planned? Okay, so let me see, is there anything else I need to share on that? I don't think so. No, we'll leave it at that. So Robert, do you mind filling us in a little bit on what happened with St. Ambrose, or did you want to meet with the board first?
If I can talk a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, so actually the board met kind of semi-formally last night to discuss what kind of news we had for Ambrose, and we kind of distilled our thoughts down into dividing up the relocation project into separate stages. So maybe Jeff could help me out here. So the first stage we're thinking would be the new dome. And then all the other stages, so we have the money right now to construct the new dome structure. Any other stages, well, like another stage would be the new roll-off building. Another stage would be the control room. Another one would be the new pads and the cement. Another one would be laying out new electricity. Each of which basically we do as money became available. So this was the revised plan that I brought to the people at Ambrose, which consisted of Mike Poster, VP of Finance, Paula McNutt, the Dean of Arts and Sciences, Mohammed El Zain, who is the new chair of our Engineering and Physics Department, and Andrew Lutz, who was the previous chair. And first of all, they're all perfectly okay with us breaking up the project into these stages. I mean, they understand that we just don't have the money right now to do everything all at once. And so, and I told them that right now the first stage we're looking at is the new dome. And that basically we'd just be transplanting QCAS's dome from the Sherman Park site to here, building a new square structure for it. I did bring up the issue that we might not have the money yet to run electricity through it. One thing for that note is I sent off an email earlier to our contact at the physical plant, asked them if it's feasible to use a dummy cable or just an empty conduit up through the concrete base, anticipating that we'd run electricity to the dome later. I've yet to hear back from them. I brought up the possibility with them, and they said, yeah, probably went okay. In fact, they want me to keep in touch with physical plant on that issue to see if it's good. And further in the physical plant, I floated the question of whether they could help us out with construction and laying out new electricity. And it sounds like they could do that. Timing might be an issue. See, the first month of the new semester is always the craziest as far as physical plant schedule is concerned. So that I should talk with Jim Hannon at the physical plant and discuss with him possible timetables when and if they could help us out with the construction and electricity. I think they did mention that the chief electrician that they always relied on the physical plant had retired recently, so they might have to shuffle around a bit to see who else would be who is there still there who is qualified for that. How are we so far?
Cool.
Okay, and Mohammed El Zain, he brought up something interesting that the department has an ongoing grant with John Deere and Company, who provided the department quite a bit of money, some of which that he said that he was open to providing some money from that grant to the observatory relocation. The catch is that this money is earmarked for equipment only. Can't be used for any of the construction itself.
Well, that still could be okay because as we talked last night in the board, Dana had the idea that the club has got a 10-inch SCT, and everybody talked about it being best if we had an EQ mount in here so it could be used for both visual and for imaging. Plus, rather than a fork mount, it wouldn't be offset, so the mount could be right in the center, so you wouldn't have it kind of poking into the building. So maybe they could help us get a mount when we move this over. Maybe they could help us buy an EQ mount for in here. And that's probably, for what I'm thinking, under $2,000, probably between $1,500 and $2,000. So that might be something they would maybe consider.
I told them that I would provide them with a list of equipment that new equipment we were looking for the observatory and the upgrades. So yeah, if you want to add that mount to the list, then certainly.
Right, right.
We should probably have at least preliminary prices for these equipment available. And we should also, we really want to jump in onto getting price estimates for the different stages, like the cement work and the electrical work. And I'm sure Jim Hanna wants specific, if the physical plant can help us out with the construction and the electricity, I'm sure Jim Hanna will want more specific details as to exactly what we want for them.
Maybe it'd be a good idea for us to meet with him and show him this and talk to him about it and get his input.
That's a good idea, yes. And I also told him that we should also meet soon with the Wapsie River Center and Scott County Parks and Rec with our updated staged plans. So make sure they're as okay with it as Ambrose is.
Cool.
And I think a question about the new lease was brought up last night. So Mike Poster showed me the new lease is signed, sealed, it's firmly in place, so that is good to go. So we're perfectly good to go from
officially there.
Yes.
Cool. So that's all good news. Did you happen to talk to him for everybody at the meeting yet? I don't see everybody. I just see Robert and myself right now. But so we still have a presence at Sherman Park with the 20-inch scope, and we pay over $40 a month for utilities out there. And that building's in pretty bad shape and needs some work. So we were thinking, rather than redo that building and keep paying the $40 a month, maybe St. Ambrose, Dr. Mitchell, might allow us to remove one or both of his scopes from the roll-off and let us set up the 20-inch in the dome so that it could still be usable. Because I really don't want to retire the 20-inch until we get money to do the rest.
Did you mean the roll-off, not the dome?
I'm sorry, yes, I meant the roll-off. So at the Mickey roll-off, put the 20-inch in there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to bring that part up at the meeting today. But,
that's okay. We can hit them up again later. They'll probably say that's more of a year call than theirs, because it would be a temporary thing, and they probably care more about if it ruins anything that you're trying to do out there. So, and I kind of think it might be an enhancement over what you've got. So.
Well, for that part, the 14-inch that's in the roll-off building, I don't think that's even been used for years. So
yeah,
wouldn't be any big loss removing that temporarily.
Yeah. So, but anyway, does anybody have any questions about anything on the relocation project?
Yes, this is John. The roll-off building in Menke, does that have power in it?
Yes.
And the 20-inch sitting there?
I went over there and measured it. The 20-inch is 100 inches long, and it will fit in there. Dana was at our meeting last night, and he was going to try to get out there maybe today or tomorrow just to double check. Of course, we'd have to bore new holes and put in, bolt the mount, our fork mount down in there. So that's a consideration too. But the way they've got the floor in there, they've got these rubber pads over it. So any kind of bolt work we do wouldn't ruin anything for restoring it after we build our roll off on this side. Good question. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is John again. So who's going to be doing the work on the pads on that over there at Menke before we bring the over?
Perfect question. I was going to segue a little bit. When we initially were talking about this project, I was pretty pig-headed in thinking that I really didn't want to hit club members up to donate their time, to put in the labor and the legwork of trying to pour concrete, digging, putting up walls and that. With the way the finances is, and with us just doing the dome building first, we'll probably have club members see if we can get enough people to excavate. You know, this is fairly level here. Maybe we can dig it and form it. We'll need to find somebody, and I forgot who Dana said would have one, but we need a 24-inch auger to go down frost level for our pier in the center. So we're looking at a 24-inch around concrete pillar that goes down 48 inches. So we'd need to get somebody to do that for us, but we could probably do all the dome ourselves. So that's probably what's going to happen there. For the roll off for the 20-inch, I'm sure that we'd have to get somebody with a fork truck or something to lift the 20-inch we can probably carry. That fork mount, I don't think that an EQ system, I don't think that we can lift that. So we'll probably have to figure out a way to get that out of there. So this is not a freebie doing this stuff. Right now in our kitty, for the observation location project, we have $6,300 right now. So we're thinking that, especially if we did the work, that's more than enough money to get the dome built, the dome roof moved over and placed on top of the structure, and get the 20-inch over here. So what that does is, again, that saves us $40 a month. So even if we have to dig into our general fund, which is another $2,000, we could probably dig in there a little bit and just replenish it from the savings on the utilities. When we do the other phases, which would be pads, the roll off, in this control room, we've moved over here for heat purposes. So this is an older picture, but it's labeled. So when we do all this other stuff, that'll be in subsequent phases. There's a lot of synergy in being able to do lots of stuff at once, because, you know, if we get somebody over there with a tractor to do excavating, it's going to cost us a lot more to do one section and bring them back to do other sections. Same thing with pouring concrete. It'd be a lot cheaper to pour it all at once than have somebody come out, make 2, 3, 4 trips to do a project. So we want to get this over, get the club back enthused in doing the project, get the public more enthused about what's going on here, and hopefully we can get enough money maybe to pour all the concrete at once. So the other issue is the electricity, as we mentioned, running electricity over to the dome and then bringing somebody back and running it to the pads and bringing somebody back and running it to the roll off. That gets expensive, a lot more so than if you can have them come in one time. So we kind of have to talk to these contractors about an overall bid if we can do it all at once, and then what it would cost for us to do by phase, so that when we approach people that might fund this, we can talk to them in an educated manner.
Have we considered doing the dome and the roll-off solar?
That's interesting.
I'm working on I'm building a Sprinter, Mercedes Sprinter camper van with solar panels and the whole bit. And I bet you can, I don't think you're going to need that much power for at least the dome. And I bet my Sprinter system, that's not including the batteries, so I haven't decided if I'm going lithium or not. I'm going to do 400 watts of solar and all the controls for well under $1,000. The only other thing on top of that is whatever we need for batteries. And my guess is you're going to need less. We're going to need less battery on that dome that I'm going to have in my Sprinter.
Yeah, the dome, I think that we could get by with like 5 amps in there. By the time you get a computer or two in there and the, you know, heating strips on the scopes and powering them out and powering a filter wheel, powering cameras. So yeah, I don't think it'd take a ton, probably a couple amps. I don't know how it works on there. The roll off will be a different story, but that doesn't mean that that's not feasible, it might be cheaper than running, hundreds of foot of cable underground all the way over.
And that's what I was thinking, that the pads, obviously, you're not gonna solar power, but if you're looking at getting the dome going, that's more than $1,000 run to get over there. And I wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't money from somebody like, is that Mid-American out there, that they would kick in for, solar donation.
But it's not Mid-American. Is it the city of Dixon there, Dr. Mitchell? Do you know?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think it's an REC out there. But that doesn't mean they still might not consider doing something. But that's a good thought. Yeah, for temporary, if we couldn't get electricity over there, what we were going to do was put some like a reverse outlet on the outside of the building and run a cable. We've got a real long, real heavy cable. Just run something above ground when we want to use it and plug in the dome.
Solar gives you something to show that you're keeping up and you're conservation minded.
Yeah, I like the idea a lot. So
do I.
cool. Any other thoughts? Hi, Mike Dannenfeld. Hi, Cecil.
Hello.
Any other thoughts on the project? Going once, going twice. Okay, we'll close some of this down. That's this. And then Paul Sager, did I see you here?
He was here.
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, can you talk a little bit about the APP thing and what your thoughts are on when and what we might need for participation?
Sure. So we had gone a little bit without hearing from Mabula, and then he got back to us. Was very apologetic. He's just been really busy adding some features to his application. They did a lot with comment stacking. But anyways, my fear why we hadn't heard back from him was that we just didn't have enough people, to make it worthwhile. However, that's not the case, because this is his first time doing a remote session. He's just kind of interested in to see how it's going to go, kind of as kind of a pilot for him. So he's very open to scheduling. He didn't even propose times. He just said, "I'm open. I can be flexible. We'll make it work." So we've kind of been looking for just to make a decision if we're going to. We kind of the people who I've talked to, and I don't really know who we had about 8 people or so that were interested. There's a couple people I've talked to since, but we had all talked about just picking a night, like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and just doing 4 in a row. Originally, we kind of talked about the 4 weeks in August, but obviously now we're basically into September. But I would love to have an email list with those people who are interested in either a 2 or a 4 week, and just kind of making sure that we have, it's probably not going to work for everybody. That's just how things go when you're talking about that many weeks in a row. And life is getting crazy as school's starting, but I feel like we could probably make it work. If we wanted to do like a 6:30 to an 8:30, 7 to 9, whatever sounds like it's going to make sense. He's the nut job that's going to have to get up at 2:30 in the morning to teach a bunch of nerds how to use his software. But I think it would be pretty cool. Again, the cost I think was, well, I don't even remember. What was it about? Was it $100 for 4 weeks?
Yeah, something like that. $100.
So the only thing he asked was that somebody just kind of takes care of, collecting and then just making one payment to him for everybody that's included. And also there was going to be the discount that he talked about for his software. So anybody that signs up, he was going to issue codes. Is it a 20%, 25%? I don't remember. Pretty nice discount. I mean, it's not all that expensive software anyways, but I think the renter's license was 60. So, and it's a nice discount. And if you buy it out, right, which is like 150, you're saving quite a bit. So, um, anyways, it would be great to get back to him. Maybe sometime this week would be great if we could coordinate that. But again, I don't know who the people were. I just know that I saw the numbers were in the neighborhood of 8 or so. But yeah, it would be great to get some communication with those folks and get back to them and try to reserve some dates.
Yeah, I think that what we had going on is 6 people were interested in the 4 2-hour sessions. One person was interested in the 2 2-hour sessions,
Okay.
and one person wanted like a preliminary training course before they went into the APP
Yeah.
seminar.
So yeah, his response back was that there's really no um, the level to begin has no prerequisites. So it's his workshop that he was doing on site for quite a while. Um, didn't make any assumptions of knowledge. So it's basically built to go from beginner through the end of the workshop, however far it gets. And he also made it sound like he'd be happy to customize the second 2 weeks once the first 2 weeks go and just kind of see where everybody's at. But um, because he's been doing these workshops for a long time, he has all of the materials, all of the data is ready to go. So it should be pretty flawless.
Yeah, so it sounds like you really don't need to know anything more than you put a camera on a telescope. Where do I go from here?
Yeah.
So,
So, well, I think the only thing, if anybody was kind of on a fence or thinking about it at all, it's really neat that he has partnered with itelescope.com, which is a remote observatory that allows for anybody with $20 to rent telescope time and image whatever they want because they do plate solving and centering of objects. It's really kind of cool. Something I've looked into when we had so many cloudy nights in a row this winter, and there were winter objects I wanted to get. Um, that being said, it's built basically to auto process without any knowledge. It's just here's the files, it knows how to identify them and knows what to do with them, and processes it to looking pretty sharp. Um, so
I
even
think,
for somebody who doesn't even own a telescope, if they just rented sometime on a telescope just to see, people are winning APODs doing that kind of stuff. So just kind of cool.
yeah, I think another thing to keep in mind is since this is like a beginner through however far you want to get in the time period, you actually learn what you need to do when you decide to hook up a camera. Because if he says, here's what happens when you have light frames, but if you add dark frames and this is what a dark frame is, this is what happens. So whatever level you want to get to. So for instance, John Baker here, I mean, you're like a master processor on your stuff. And me, I just stack pictures. I don't care. I'm kind of like the equivalent of a snapshot kind of a person, one step beyond. So that's as far as I care about going. Except for now with APP, if I can just put them there and press a button, hey, I'd be happier with better picks. But I think it would be good for all different levels of people to see what your results are with data he supplies, to see what you can do just by pressing some buttons in there. And then you can decide what camera you want to get. And if you like, to do all the bias frames and dark frames and flats and all that stuff, if you really are into that when you see what he's doing, then you know that that's what you need to do too.
Yeah.
So at any rate,
So
I think it's a good deal there.
so yeah, if we can, it would be great if we could get an email list out of this, just so we can kind of start talking about schedules.
So I'd like to start with that list of people that went ahead, the 6, and let's go ahead and schedule something. We'll email those 6 people, and I think I did send you that list, Paul. You could dig that out again.
Okay.
And we'll blast something out to the club and to PAC and to Cedar Amateur Astronomers again, like a last call, and let's book it and get going on it. Um, I was hoping to have the thing done in August so that we could, anybody that was going to Eastern Iowa Star Party could use that knowledge on the images that they took. So as late as it is in the game, I think Eastern Iowa Star Party starts the 18th of September. I'm just wondering whether we lapse it and have 2 before and 2 after. So that'd be the end of August, early September, and then late September, early October.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. We can, yeah, and we can talk about that. I mean, the schedules are going to be probably the driving factors. We want to include as many people as possible. You know, we'd hate to anybody to be excluded just because, you know, they're the one that can't do Thursdays or something like that. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think I did take a tally of people, those 6 that replied back. So again, they responded. I'd like to go ahead and honor that because we've drug this out long enough. I mean, at some point, I got a license for this thing and it expires in 6 days. So
Yeah,
I
mine
don't,
has expired. So yeah, if we can get it scheduled, then I can
yeah.
hit buy the product. It'd be great.
He said he would extend it, so there's no problem there. But I mean, that's 30 days, you know. And I didn't get the license right away. I waited a week or two. I was hoping to get something scheduled for a class, and then I gave up waiting. So I went ahead and downloaded it and got it on the computer.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'd like to go with those 6, set up that time, blast it out to those other clubs, and say, here's when we're going to do it. Here's the deadline for payment.
So this is Jim. Here's a comment from what I heard. I understand Mabula's position on it's going to start out pretty basic and anybody could take the course, but I still could understand where there'd be some people that would feel more comfortable with a little introductory training. I think there's other people in the club that know more about astrophotography than me, certainly people that know more about processing than me. But I would volunteer if there's 1, 2, 3 people that feel like they're at such a low level, they'd like a little information. I'll spend some time with them sharing what I have. I probably could twist the arm of a few of the rest of you, maybe John Baker, that could give a little information just to have people, anybody that feels I don't know enough to get started, that we'll try to give you some info.
Well, that's great, and I appreciate that, and I think that we should go on that. I'll contact that person that said that they would like to have a little bit of a preliminary review before they took something, and I'll find out what date works with him and with you, and then why don't we schedule a WebEx and send it out to people that here's just kind of a astrophotography 101 type of thing that's preliminary to this, and maybe we can get that done, in the next week or two, so that we can make that decision and get Mabula going.
I would be in for that Astro 101, and that would probably convince me to take the class.
Okay.
Great. Unrelated, but kind of related. Jim and I, because we're nuts and super nerds, we both signed up for a PixInsight workshop tomorrow. A couple guys who do this almost for a living are giving a beginners workshop, and it was $20 for a 2-hour workshop. So we're doing that tomorrow, and I think what's kind of fun about it is that there's a door prize. Actually, they had a list of sponsors for this. I don't know how you get sponsors for a 2-hour beginners workshop, but they have like a $3,000 camera, other filters and things from their different sponsors. So basically, it's a $20 door prize in a free workshop.
Cool.
So
back at the Florida Star Party some years ago, Jim, when was that? I went down there.
Oh, I don't know, was it 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah. So anyway, the guy from Canada, I forget his name, long gray hair, was giving. He gave 2, I think they were 4-hour PixInsight seminars, and he's one of the head cheeses on doing it. And I took both of them. The first one, of course, was PixInsight 1. We spent probably the first 2 hours passing around a USB drive, and people weren't knowing how to install anything on their computers. They were cutting and pasting from there, so we had to get the flash drives back, and they didn't know how to insert the USB. So yeah, it's very, when you start course 1, it's really, really basic. But anyway, back to that. Well, Mike, is there a certain let's say in the next 2 weeks, is there a certain night that you and Jim feel are good, and we'll blast that out and say, here's when 101 is, and we'll just see what we get, and we'll set up a WebEx, and just, whoever shows up can attend this, and then they can make that decision after the seminar if they want to join the APP seminar.
I'm real flexible.
Yeah, and I think I am too, so.
I'm gonna grab my calendar real quick. So you guys don't really even have a preference on day of week, huh? What
Not
about
if there's
next
anything to
Monday?
do.
What's next Monday happening? Oh, Jim disappeared. We scared him off.
This internet.
Do we want to try to put this together? Is that too soon? Monday the 24th? 7 to 9?
I'd be good with that.
I stepped away on it. Would you repeat that, Jeff?
Yeah, I was wondering if Monday the 24th would work.
And is that in the evening were you thinking, or?
Yeah, I really was. I know I'd like to be there, just to facilitate or whatever.
Sure. John Baker, would you be willing, and that time work for you too? The evening of the 24th, Monday night? I didn't get a response from John.
Yeah, I see he's still muted.
I guess, okay, did he shake his head? Yes.
I think that's sign language for he'll bring the Kripnik.
Okay, yep, he gave us a thumbs up. So John, the 24th.
So Paul, do you want me to, or do you want to blast out an email? Well, why don't I do that?
Yeah,
on
if you
the
can get
24th?
it started, and then we'll
Yeah.
know.
Because I'll send it out, because then I can do PAC, and also if that's okay with Ellen, I can add PAC, or Ellen, would you rather send that out to PAC?
Yeah, I can send it out.
Okay, so I'll just send the invite to QCAS and Cedar Amateur Astronomers, and then Ellen can forward that out to PAC. And it'll be like an astro or an imaging 101, basics that you need to know or would like to know to prepare you for the AstroPixel seminar. And then I'll just write something to the effect that, if you're leery about taking the seminar and you'd like a precursor, that we've got this free offering, and we're just going to go at a very high level what imaging is. And then you can make a decision at the end of the class if you want to sign up for APP. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Paul, you didn't freeze. You were just not moving.
Yeah, I was without internet for a while, so
What's that a picture of,
I've got a
John?
lot to catch up.
John?
He's on mute, but he's still funny.
Okay. Moving on. Thank you much. Anybody have any questions about the Imaging 101? Any questions about APP? Okay. And let me see what else I got here on my list. So the last thing is, and we can talk about this or not, it's up to you. Is it too late to talk about some other stuff? Just kind of a little impromptu presentation on the finder scope thingy? Okay. Well, at any rate, when I sent out the email to, John Baker is starting to share.
We're Jack and Alice.
I hope it's not what he was sharing earlier.
Well, it's Jack Newton.
Alright,
Any relation to Isaac?
No, I don't think
there you
so, but
go.
he's kind of a famous astrophotographer and has a place in Arizona and a place in Canada where he observes.
Alright.
Two climates couldn't be more different.
That one definitely looks like it's in Arizona.
Oh, cool.
So John was out there and took that picture.
That looks nice.
Yes.
Alright.
It reminds me a little bit of the David Levy star party, the way the ground is there in the forefront.
Yep.
So I'm gonna have to head out. Is there anything going on tomorrow night? I saw that Pack was doing something, or is there anything at Dixon?
If you blast out an email to see if anybody wants to go, there could be.
Okay, I'll think about it. Just curious. All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Okay, see you. Oh,
Good night.
There's John's face. Oops. Cool. Okay. Well, I was just going to, and all of you probably know about these things already, but I thought, it says Mike Dannenfeld is talking, but I couldn't hear him at all.
He's not muted.
Mike, are you there? Maybe your microphone is just turned way down.
Yes, yes.
Well, if you get your microphone turned on, Mike, or get it kicked up, the volume, go ahead and barge in on me. So I'll just keep going a little bit. Anyway, so we put some of the stuff together to talk about, and then I thought, well, maybe it would be just fun to kind of talk about some generic or more generic kind of things. And I was really hoping that John Ward would be here because I think he asked about it too. But I mentioned finder scopes. And so what I did is I brought out a collection of them to just kind of get your opinions of. And how many of you know what this guy is?
yep.
Yeah, the handy dandy Telrad. This has been loved by many professional astronomers for many, many years. They've got a lit reticle in them. Who doesn't know about these? Raise hand. Well, we won't talk much about them. Anyway, one of the big cool things about this guy, of course, it's got that reticle in it, and many star maps have got that reticle on them so that you can actually pretty easily star hop with them. So it's a cool thing to have. I happen to dislike them a lot because they look ugly and it weighs down the front of my Dob so much that the Dob doesn't stay up. So this was kind of not a cool thing for me. I did find that they seemed to do up quick compared to a Racy or something like that. So anyway, this one's Matt's that he lent to me. So thanks, Matt.
Hey, Jeff,
Yeah, who is that?
that's Terry.
Yeah, hi, Terry.
Yeah, I made a like a covered dew shield for mine to keep the dew off, and it's working out great. And I also made a solar filter to put on it, so when I'm using it to look at the sun,
Oh, cool.
basically took an old slide and took the film out and replaced that with some solar filter material, and on that angled part at the side, the slide fits right in there. So when you look at the sun, you can use the reticle too.
Cool.
So
Cool.
actually, I use it. I use it quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the folks that do the star hopping use them, and again, I think I got in the hobby too late, and there were too many other options. But I had two of these, and I think I donated one to the club and sold the other one. So they just didn't work well for me. So they work well for lots of people, and they don't work so well for others. But anyway, that's this guy here. So the next thing is, do you guys know what this thing is? It's a Rigel, and it's very much like a Telrad, except for it's more vertical, I should say. So you don't have to lean over so far. You don't have to have a riser. It's a lot smaller and lighter, as you can see. Where's my camera at? There, at any rate. And it seems like Matt likes this kind of better than the Telrad. So, and I don't know exactly why, but it's the same type of thing. There's a little rheostat on here to adjust the level of the light. And I think there's some different reticles in there. I think it also has the same size reticle, so you can also star hop with it using the reticles on star maps. So, does anybody else use one of these?
I do.
What do you think about it?
I like it a lot.
So does he.
Sounds like your dog likes it too.
New puppy.
Cool.
I like it because it stands up higher. It's a lot lighter weight. Works just fine. Works.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Jim's back. So anyway, these are real nice. He likes them too. I haven't used one before, so I really can't skew any comments on there. But it's pretty popular too. What I use on my Dobsonian is a RDF red dot finder, and I love this little guy. And it also has the Telrad pattern on it, but as you can see, it's very small. And it's light, but it's all metal, and it has a rheostat. No good way of showing that. Anyway, there's a rheostat here, so you can adjust the light level. And there's also a little knob here, and I think there's 5 different reticle patterns. There's crosshairs and bullseyes and all that kind of stuff. And you actually adjust the size of the dot. So I like that a lot because it doesn't magnify, and you can keep both eyes open so that you can kind of watch the sky and watch where you're pointing at the same time. And you can kind of do that with the Telrad, but it's a little bit harder there. And I think you can also do that with the Rigel. But I just like this guy a lot. This is what I used at that Messier marathon when we were locating all those objects. So anybody else use a red dot of sorts?
I've tried them. Yeah.
You tried them? What
Yeah.
did you think about them?
I've tried different styles of red dots. Yeah. They're okay. Sometimes the red dot gets in the way of what you're trying to align to. It all depends on the quality of your red dot. Some red dots are the red dot is scattered because it's not good quality, and so it all depends.
Yeah, this one's pretty good that way, and you can actually dim it low enough where the star will blank over it. So and that's handy because some of them are just so bright that you don't really know whether you're over the star or not. So cool.
I like so I got the one from Teleview that has a little mirror and everything. The one thing I like about that one is that the control allows you to pulse the red dot, so it turns on and turns off. So it's not constantly on, so you can see when it's on the star because it comes on, and then when it goes away, you can see if the star is there or not. So it's a lot easier.
Cool.
For that. Plus, it has a much wider field.
And Terry, don't some
also
Telrads,
they were too big.
Don't some Telrads do that too? Have the flashing LED?
I think so. I think the Rigel or Rigel or whatever does that too.
Okay. Yeah, that's a cool feature. So that's what I use on my Dob. This is what came on the Dob, and this is what most scopes come with, is just the straight through finder. And that's a really good standard type of thing. Well, what I found and what I think a lot of people find is that sometimes it's hard to put your head down close to the OTA and look through it. So, but this is a good standard. And a lot of people will take something like this and turn it into a guide scope also, so it kind of plays double purpose. So that's kind of a cool thing. And of course, there's different sizes. This is a 9x50. This is what came with my Dob. And it worked well for a long time, but I always found myself, like I said, having to put my cheek down on the scope to look through it. And then depending on where you're aiming, it's, kind of in a poor location. So that's a straight through. How many folks use the straight through yet?
That's the first thing I've replaced from mine.
So how are you feeling about it, Mike? Do you like it, or do you ever have
I think my biggest issue is I need to put a taller riser on it because my riser is pretty short, so I'm up against the tube.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I experienced too, that it's kind of short. So, but anyway, they work well, and it's a good old standby. Um, so what I did was all my telescopes, even my Dob, I've replaced all the finders with the RACI, a right angle lit finder scope. And this is off my 11-inch SCT, and I've been taking it out to Menke to use on the 14-inch because with the base, it slides right on, so it works well. And I'll be looking for one of these for that scope out there too. But what's nice about it is it takes your eye away from or your face from the scope, and you kind of look down and you can angle it wherever you want it to go, either by turning the diagonal or actually just pivoting the finder scope around. But I generally just turn the diagonal. And turning the diagonal really doesn't throw it out of whack as much as I thought it would be. So if I do a multi-star alignment and then I find the scope's in an awkward position and I'd like to angle it a different direction, it really doesn't throw off the center too awful bad. Not bad enough that I can't find the object. But as on a straight through, you can get one with a light on it. And it goes from too bright to blind your eyes. So I'm thinking about seeing if I can put a different battery in there. And somebody told me you could put a little piece of plastic in there and it cuts it down. And somebody else said that if you buy one of these illuminators that you can plug in, that the rheostat's finer. So I don't know which way I'm going to go, but how many folks use the right angle?
I do.
Sam, Jim,
If I do,
Cecil? Well, Jim hasn't talked yet. Talk about the right angle a little bit, your thoughts.
You want me to comment on the right angle finder?
Sure, please.
Yeah, sure. As you get older, bending down and trying to look out that um, straight through one is pretty tough. So the right angle is really nice. The illumination really makes it, just another little plus to be able to see where you are, especially if you're dark skies. Those dark skies, the crosshairs get pretty dark. The other thing is a combination of both a optical finder and a red dot is kind of a nice feature too, because sometimes I'll use a optical finder, whether it's right angle or not, especially on a short tube like a Schmidt-Cassegrain. You're trying to sight up the tube to even get close enough to put your object in the finder, and sometimes I can't even get it in the finder. So then you think, oh, if I had a red dot, because that'd be real easy to get close, and then the optical finder would even get me closer. So that's another option. Use both of them. And then the other extreme, if you're taking pictures and you use something like plate solving, you don't even need a finder. So those are the two extremes.
for those people that like to build things themselves,
That's what he's talking about it too.
um, what I've had on my 30-inch, I have one is an 80 millimeter, and the lens I actually bought from Celestron when I was working in the camera corner back in the 80s. I bought that lens it's an 80 millimeter lens from a 80 millimeter binocular. I bought that for $15. And the other one I use on my 30 is basically a 5-inch finder.
Wow.
5-inch finder is a 5-inch Hastings triplet projection lens. I bought on eBay for like $50 or $40 or something. And that makes a great, I mean, it's a 5-inch finder.
That's awesome.
And I got, let's see, right now I've got that 5-inch lens and a piece of 6-inch sonotube. I think I got it at Stetson's over in Rock Island. I don't know if they still sell sonotubes or not, but I think that's where I got it. And like if you look for if you look for some of these things, you can get some rather nice lenses, either commanded lenses or something like a Hastings triplet on eBay. They're old, and nobody's ever going to use them for anything other than probably a paperweight or a finder. So they say if you like to do things yourself, you may want to consider looking at eBay for and you look specifically for projection lenses. You'd be surprised what pops up there from time to time.
Very cool. Yeah, a 5-inch scope for a finder scope. That's pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, the other thing is Celestron. I think this finder scope new is like $100 or thereabouts. And that's not all that terrible with the lit reticle and all that kind of stuff. But Explorer Scientific wants like $170 for the same thing. And so they're real proud of it. And I don't know why. But at any rate,
I think you're way low. It's like $249.
Is it up that high now? Well,
Yeah.
I did buy each of my Explorer Scientific scopes and buy them, but it was quite a while ago. And I thought I paid 178 for them. But anyway, they're way up there, and they're really no better than the Celestron one. So anyway, that's this. Then the last thing, talk real quick. I mentioned using like a camera for a finder scope, and basically they connect up to a right angle or a straight through. And the problem with most of them are the camera adds so much magnification. It's really, really, really hard to get everything aligned trying to find it. So if you decide to put a camera on a finder scope, your best bet is making sure that you go out during the day before you expect to use the thing, and center the camera on the finder scope with the OTA so that you're not trying to find the right star with it, because it's a miserable time trying to do that. But after you get it done, it's pretty cool because you can kind of alt tab your computer between a camera on the finder scope. You don't have to lean over, you don't have to adjust it, you don't have to do anything, and you can bounce around that way. But I did find that you have to be quite a bit more precise. Just hitting a crosshair is not necessarily the best bet. When you use a camera, you have to use the camera to do the alignment and really get on it. Otherwise, a little bit is a lot if you're off. So anyway, that's the camera thing. Does anybody use a camera for their finder scope?
Never tried that.
Yeah, I did it a couple times on the 14-inch. And again, it just, I like technology, so it just wasn't a pleasant experience. And it was a lot more work doing that than just doing like a 10-star alignment on the 14. So
does the object you're trying to find have to be fairly bright to show up in the camera?
no.
No?
And then to do that, you can adjust the gain anyway.
Okay. So then one suggestion there would be if you bought a new DSLR and you were trying to figure out, well, what do you do with your old one? You'd have a lot wider field of view if you used a DSLR in your application.
Yeah, if you can figure out a way to get your DSLR on the finder scope. And they do that. Or if you've got a long lens, maybe too. So, but yeah, the cameras are really sensitive. What I tried the first time was my ZWO 120, the little cheap monochrome camera. It's very sensitive and fine that way. And I stuck it on there and I was able to focus. But I did it at night the first time, and it's like, well, gee, the field of view was so narrow that I didn't know whether I had the right star in there or not. So then the next time I tried it, I aimed at the telephone pole over by the ranger's house, and it did fairly well. But I noticed if you're just a sliver off, off a center, And through the night, if you get much temperature change, that changes how well it's aligned too. So it was just, it was very cool, but it was more bother than what I felt it was worth. But a lot of people swear by them, and a lot of folks that automate everything, automate their finder scope, but maybe they've got a better way to permanently mount stuff so that you have no flexure. I don't know. But anyway, last but not least, and Terry mentioned how he put some solar filament on one of these guys to use it for the sun. Well, what I bought for my solar scopes is a soul searcher. Have any of you seen these guys?
Mhm.
This is like getting it from Teleview is where I got this one. Is a very expensive way to have a piece of plastic with a hole in one side. Where's it at? And a little piece of white reflective material on the other. And basically you aim the sun or aim the scope so the sun goes through the hole and makes a little circular pattern on the inside. So that's where the sun is at. So you move the scope until the sun is centered in this. So it's very safe. It's heavy plastic, but I do love the thing, even though I paid too much for it. But I forget what they want for these things. But again, like I said, I think you can do the same thing pretty much with, if you have a regular finder scope with some material on it, or putting two little pieces of plastic together, one with a hole in it. So, does anybody else use one of these?
No, but Coronado has a similar one.
Rusty does, yeah.
Coronado has a similar one that is much smaller. It's kind of like a little aluminum tube, and it has a pinhole on one end, and of course it has a translucent, kind of like frosted plastic on the other end. Same concept, except that it's a closed tube, and it's about a half inch, 5/8 diameter, and it mounts right on top of the scope.
Cool.
It works really good.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I got that one, Jeff, and when I bought mine, $23 for it.
how much?
About $23 or something like that.
That sounds like half what I paid.
What?
Yeah, it wasn't expensive at all.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The Teleview charged in the $40 range.
Yeah. And again, if you shop like Rusty did, maybe, I think that maybe I was in a big hurry because I just bought that lunt and I was getting ready for the Venus transit, and I needed to get stuff like now. So I got stuck in that. And Cecil would invent one. So you can kind of see the white thing in there if I hold that right. There you go. So anyway, I think that's all I have. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about a little bit?
What, are you waiting for me to go to bed? You ready to go night-night? I gotta get my makeup off and watch some things, and brush my teeth. And...
Oh, you're muted. You're still muted.
Ugh.
There you go.
Yeah, I got an email response from HughesNet when I talked about the problems with the internet, and they said I should telephone tech support to help me figure out what's wrong.
Blanket has now become your blanket.
Yeah.
Which probably means I'll have to go out to the observatory when I call them to do it on site. I don't have time to do it tomorrow. Maybe Wednesday afternoon I could get out there.
Okay. If you find that you're too tied up this week, let me know and maybe I can go out there and help.
Okay, I'll see what happens.
Okay.
Come on, bud.
Any other good stuff from anybody? Anybody have any images they wanted to kind of share? Don Baker showed us the dark side of Uranus, so.
Jeff? Oh. Test.
I hear test.
Just testing.
This is John. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but we can't see you.
The only purpose of those pictures earlier were you were talking about talking to an astrophotographer up in Canada. And I was wondering if it was Jack Newton that you were talking about.
Are you sure? Because that doesn't sound right. He plays bass in a jazz band. He lives in Canada. He's got long, scraggly gray hair,
Isn't Jeff, the guy you're thinking about, isn't his name something like Ron Belchner or
Yeah, yeah,
Betchner, something like that?
something like that. Yeah.
He's going to be one of the presenters as well at the um, workshop that Paul was alluding to. It's going to be Ron and the guy that wrote the Pixinsight book, Keller.
Keller, yeah, that's
So yeah,
great.
some pretty powerful names that are making that presentation. I think the other thing, I'm not sure if Paul read it this way, but my understanding is that's the first of many classes that they're going to be putting on. So the first one is $25, and I assume each of the additional ones will be $25 each. And I think the door prize is going to be somewhere down the road, not at the first class.
Okay. Yeah, if anybody wants, I think I've got Keller's, it's like an 8 DVD set on Pixinsight. I
Oh.
bought that. So I've got the DVD series on that. And then I've got one other DVD series on Pixinsight. And then I've got the recordings from the Florida Star Party that are really basically worthless. But
Now, on that subject, Mike Umbrella sent you his workflow. Have you tried to look at that and use it at all?
yeah, he sent it to me, and that's when I actually used it one time on that picture I took at the Levy Star Party. Let me see if I can figure out a way to, maybe I can get to it from here. Let me unshare again. It's hard to get to my desktop when I'm doing that. If I can't find it here real quick, I won't do it. Okay. I'll get back to this and share, and we should be good to go. I'm sharing, but why is it not there? Try it again. I don't know why it's spinning away so much. But anyway, if you see that little thumbnail there, I used his process on that, and I really never used Pixinsight before. And that's only a single exposure. There's no stacks or anything there. And there's no calibration frames. That's just one shot. And I followed his go right path. I just clicked, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 buttons and came up with that image. And I don't know why what's going on here. But I guess it's of no consequence. But yeah, we've got that quick flow if anybody wants that too. Did Mike send that out to the club? There it is. So I did Pixinsight on that. Like I said, it's a single 10-minute exposure. It's unguided, so it's really not perfect. But there's no dark frames, there's no calibration frames, but it is a Pixinsight image. So, and it was done with the color camera, so there's no filters involved. So, but
I don't
Pixinsight is
think Mike sent that out. I think he and, you and he had talked about maybe he'd make a presentation at a club meeting in the future, and then, it hasn't happened yet.
right. What I was hoping to do was, Mike knows how to go through the stuff really well. It's just that he goes so fast. So I thought maybe if he put together an outline like that, that I could talk through it. And as I talk through it, he would do it. So maybe we can put that together after the APP thing, because APP sounds like a really great, quick, hurry up and get some really great pictures fast. And Pixinsight might be the next step if you want to really get into, fine tuning everything,
Hey, Jeff,
Yeah,
got some pictures that I took with the R2 that I got ready.
go for it.
See 'em? All right, see if I can do this.
Rusty, I hate to do this to you, but I gotta drop off, so I'll probably see them some other time.
Okay.
Everybody, have a good night.
Thanks, Sam. Bye-bye.
Good night, Sam.
I gotta find it.
Well, you're finding it. Hey, Rolando, did you get a chance to play with any of your pictures you took?
What was that, Jeff?
Yeah, did you get a chance to mess around with any of the pictures you took Saturday night?
Yeah, but they're kind of fuzzy.
Okay.
All right, just a second. I gotta minimize this. Okay. Now we'll try this. Okay. This is M16.
Oops, I don't see it yet. Did you hit the share button?
I think so. Again.
Share content, and then screen 1 you have to click on. There you go.
Ooh. All right. Well,
Wherefore is it?
Oop. You're sharing. Now, if you call up your picture, it should be there.
I know. It's slow.
That's okay. Mine took forever too.
Wow. I can't believe it's taking this long.
Well, being broadcasting like this, it takes a lot of bandwidth on a computer.
Yeah, I guess.
You could always email it to everyone.
Yeah, all those thumbprints look really cool. Were all those with your Rev?
Yeah, these were all done with the Revolution Imager. Try a different one.
Your dumbbell.
Oh, there's 104.
Hmm.
Cool.
That's M104.
Is that the sombrero?
Yep. And M17.
Nice.
Hmm.
M51.
Oops, those aren't showing. You need to close the sombrero.
Oh, I did.
So,
Oh, I did.
so Rusty, I assume these are all about 30 seconds total integration time?
Actually, what I did is I made a 5,000 frame video and then used Registack and stacked them.
Oh. So it's better than what you would just get taking a still picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it still showing?
Yeah, it's still showing the sombrero. It shows your cursor over the X.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not getting that. I'm real live time with Rusty right now.
So you're seeing the picture?
No, I'm seeing the thumbnails now. Now I got a picture.
You got M51?
Yep. Yep.
Huh.
Yes.
Well, I can see people move on the screens and hear you talk and everything. Oh, now I just got the thumbnails.
I see the picture.
But don't you
Yeah.
see the large M51, Jeff?
Nope.
Oh,
Problems at your end.
Yeah.
I have to yell at him.
Way to go.
What's that one?
That's M16.
16. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the one that came out real well. Where the? Oh, I don't see it.
Rusty, are you talking about the one that we did the other night at the observatory?
No.
That one turned out really well, I thought. You got that
Yeah,
one?
there's M18. And again, I did all these with the Revolution Imager. And I did a video. I did
Cool.
Yep.
I see M51 now.
yeah, there's M106.
And yeah, it is internet on my side. I got an email. They're doing work on the lines
Oh,
to get people restored.
okay. There's M98. Just M20.
Neat.
Okay. How do I stop sharing?
You go up to the top of your
There we go.
screen. Yep.
I see it.
Hey, Jeff, I got a few pictures to show here.
Yeah, please do. That's beautiful. That's the trifid is what I'm saying now.
All right, I'm going to click mine on.
What happened?
Screen one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oops. Can you see my pictures?
yes.
Yeah.
Light stack 10 frames, M8 30 seconds. Yes.
Yeah, that's M8 with the ZWO ASI 294. Let's see here. Yeah,
Nice.
let's see here. This one is NGC 891. It's 8 frames at 30 seconds. Not very long, but I was over in that part of the sky, so I figured I'd try to. This is the Andromeda Galaxy. Now, it wasn't very high in the sky. This is 7 frames at 30 seconds each. But I'm going to try to do another longer exposure again when it gets higher. I'm able to get up to, I think, 2-minute exposures. The other night, I did one that had at least a 2-minute exposure. 2-minute exposure, and I don't know how many frames. This one's M16, 4 frames at 60 seconds. Let's see. Now this one you can barely see. It's Bernard's Galaxy. This is the one I was trying to push. It had 120-second exposure. I don't know how many frames. It doesn't show here, but I think it was a total of like 25 or 26 minutes, I think. But you can just barely see Bernard's Galaxy there. It's right in this area right here. Let's see what else I got here. That one. Get that one. This is M30 in Capricorn, small globular. This one's NGC 6907. It's a spiral galaxy. Let me see if I can get it in up here a little bit more, so you can see it. I mean, this was 18 frames at 30 seconds, so it's just kind of barely there. It's tiny, but let's see here. Yeah, where's one? Now this one's NGC 7331 in Pegasus. I think you can see there's another galaxy here, and I think another one right in here too. But I kind of like this little galaxy. It's a nice spiral. Now this one's this was really low. I think only 15 degrees off the horizon. This is M33, and it was towards the end of our observing that night. And it's 46 frames at 10 seconds. So hopefully I can do the longer ones when it gets a little higher in the sky. But I'm kind of happy to have picked up this one, M33, and that's all my pictures. Let's see here. Let's see
Thank
here.
you.
Oh, stop sharing it. There we go. I'm out.
Cool. Anybody else have something they want to share?
Yeah, I've got a picture.
Please.
Let me see if I can figure out how to do it though. Let me see here. Where's the, how do you share stuff?
And on the bottom of the screen, when the buttons appear, it's the third button from the left.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I see it. Yep.
And then if you've got one monitor, just your laptop monitor, computer monitor, it's screen one, I think. There you go.
See that?
Yeah.
So there's the Eagle Nebula. This was taken through the CPC 1100 HD telescope we have in the Castle Observatory. I think this was on the, I think it was the 13th of August.
Looks nice.
Yeah, looks good.
And I was just taking like a 30-second time exposure with Nikon D7500 camera. So not too bad for just a quick snapshot.
Cool.
So how do I stop sharing?
I think
Up to the top of the screen and go to the top of the screen, move the cursor toward the left, I think, and you find, yeah.
Oh, John is there.
I just wanted to show the one comet picture that I took the other day.
Ah, yeah, that's beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Yes.
So where did you take this one from again?
I was piggybacked with my camera on top of the 20-inch out in Sherman Park.
Oh.
With Steve Unhappy. And had a 100 to 300 zoom on my Canon, and I think I had about 106 millimeters. I was just taking pictures that I forget what the ISO even was on it.
You can see the two separate tails.
Yeah.
Is the straight one straight because it's heavier material, and the other is more of the stuff, kind of the gases? Is that how
The straight one, the bluer one, that's the plasma tail. That's mostly ionized atoms. The redder one is the dust tail. That'd be the bigger debris.
Huh.
That's 25 seconds at ISO 3200, 140 millimeters f5.
What causes them to have to be separated, to have a different line away from the sun?
The plasma tail is always blowing directly away from the sun. The dust tail, not quite as much. My guess is because the dust is heavier than plasma, that it's more apt to follow the comet's orbital path than.
Okay, thank you.
The bubble.
Cool.
Wow, that's a nice close up. Is that with the 20-inch?
Yeah, just 30 seconds, 3200. These are not processed at all here.
Yeah, I've got some of those.
Yeah, just some pictures of the.
Cool.
Oh, I got.
Anybody else got some cool pics to share?
Yeah, I got one more. I finally found the one I was looking for.
Okay.
Ring Nebula. Oh.
Yeah, this is the one I got at M16.
Oh, pretty close up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the other one I was looking for. It's like, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Yeah, these again with the R2
That's cool.
and did a video. So
Cool. Jim, did you have any?
Oh, not that I want to dig through and find them. They're not on this computer, so.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's getting up there in time. Unfortunately, we can't meet at Village Inn for pie and jibber jabbering. So if there's nothing else,
they're open.
going once, going twice.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Motion to I guess that's a first and a second, and we'll adjourn. Hey, thanks much. We'll catch you all later. Watch for emails.
Have a good one.
Yeah, be safe.
Hi, everyone.
And Robert, do you want to send me the link to the video?
The video from the meeting
Tonight.
today?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I'll do that.
I'll just add it to my email that goes out so I don't send a bunch of emails.
Okay.
Okay, thanks much.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
It won't let me sign up.